Hello, welcome to Daniel's Inferno. My name is Daniel. Thank you for joining me today. If you have a moment, please like, subscribe, share, join the conversation below with a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Today is, in my opinion, a very good day. I just finished listening to Trump and Netanyahu talk together, more so Trump than Netanyahu, but I listened to Trump unveil his plan for the Israeli Palestinian two-state solution. I heard a lot of compromises, and I heard for the first time in any of these speeches in my time how a president recognizes that he has to do things for both sides. And he made that quite clear. He wants to double the territory Palestinians have. By the sounds of it, he wants to help them financially develop that territory. He has implemented a 4-year period. We'll discuss that in a moment. But he has implemented a 4-year period where negotiations can take place, and any hate towards Israel within the Palestinian Charter can be taken out, where a total and unconditional denouncing of terrorism can occur by the Palestinian Authority, and how Trump is going to open an embassy in Palestine. So, let's talk about this a little bit. His, quote, ultimate deal for the Middle East peace process, saying he's detailed an 80-page plan which would be a realistic two-state solution that had already been agreed to by Israel. Now, another thing that was very interesting is Trump actually had both top politicians of Israel, Netanyahu, who's the prime minister, but his potential challenger from an election back in September. There is a coalition government process going on, and if Netanyahu fails in his coalition government, this guy takes over. So Trump has both of these individuals pledge that they will support his two-state solution. And Benny Gantz, Benjamin Netanyahu, both are committed, by the sounds of it, to compromise, but they're also committed to what Trump has already given them, namely Jerusalem, the recognition of the Golan Heights. Now, that's not to say that Trump is not going to give things to Palestine. Now, I want to quickly show you this. So this, on your screen, you'll see the AlAksa Mosque, okay? It is located in the old city of Jerusalem, and it is the third holiest site in Islam, all right? So it is a very, very, very significant place. Trump has committed that he will ensure that any peaceful Muslim, any peaceful practicer of Islam that wants to go to the AlAksa Mosque has his guarantee that they will be in Bibi and Benny Gantz's, Benjamin Gantz. Wait, is it Benny? Give me one moment, guys. I was just reading about him. Sorry, I've been reading so many. Yeah, Benny Gantz. I've been reading a bunch of different names today. So he's had both of these individuals agree to allow peaceful practicers into the AlAksa Mosque. That's huge. That is huge. Today, Israel takes a big step towards peace, Trump said in a joint press conference with Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu. I was not elected to do small things or shy away from big problems. In a series of sometimes contradictory statements, Trump said the plan includes, I don't think he really had many contradictory statements, my opinion, Jerusalem as Israel's undivided capital, but with a potential Palestinian capital in eastern sections of the city. I didn't hear that. A route for Palestinian statehood that would more than double Palestinian territory without specifying what territory he was referring to. Lead to 1 million new jobs for Palestinians. the recognition of Israel's settlements on occupied Palestinian territory as part of the country. Palestinian leaders, however, were absent from the launch. They have long dismissed Trump as biased against them and preemptively rejected his proposal. So we talked about how Benny Gantz and Netanyahu were invited. Gantz later said the plan was significant and a historic milestone that he would work to implement if elected. The Secretary General of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, referred to it as a hoax. The ambassador to the UK said it was a fraud on every count. Trump and the plan's chief architect, his son-in-law Jared Kushner, have delayed the official rollout many times since they first began developing it in 2017. Releasing it now has been interpreted as a way to distract from Trump's impeachment trial and to help his ally Netanyahu. So these are things we do need to discuss. Obviously, Trump is undergoing impeachment trials and hearings in the Senate. The House passed the articles of impeachment. Realistically, I don't think Trump is that concerned about articles of impeachment within the Senate. I think he realizes that he didn't do anything wrong. If you actually listen to some of his lawyers and their arguments, they make sense. The arguments the lawyers are putting forward are logically coherent with the law. It's not, it's pretty cut and dry to me. And I think for a lot of people it is. And I think that this whole thing, if there was wrongdoing, it does not rise to the level of impeachment. That's the simplest way I can put it for people. That any wrongdoing that might have happened or potentially happened, even hypothetically, it does not rise to impeachment. It just doesn't. So that's why Trump is not that concerned, in my opinion, about the impeachment. It's more likely to me that this plan was one, as this article points out, to help Netanyahu. Netanyahu actually he was indicted on corruption charges. Netanyahu has had some shady dealings. I'm not going to say he's the cleanest politician when it comes to corruption, but he and Trump are very close. Secondly, if you remember what I said at the beginning, Trump allotted a 4-year slot of time for negotiations and for the conditions to be met for Palestinian statehood. Well, that, if he's elected, that would bring him to the end of almost to the end of his last term. Almost like he anticipates being elected to work on this deal for his last term, or he's hoping that the potential starting of this deal could help his election prospects. That's my opinion on it, seeing as we are now 8 months away, 8 months now away from an election, 8 or 9 months away from an election. We're getting close is the point. Elections are coming up in the next little bit, within the year. 70-year-old Israeli leader faces 3 criminal corruption indictments and an uncertain election campaign in just over a month. On Tuesday, he begrudgingly dropped a request for parliament immunity after it appeared certain he would fail to garner enough votes. The Palestinian prime minister said the plan had more to do with Trump and Netanyahu's legal woes than peace. This is a plan to protect Trump from impeachment and protect Netanyahu from prison. It is not a Middle East peace plan. Then why does he... Here's an argument then for the prime minister of Palestine. Why did Trump involve UAE, Bahrain, and there was a third Middle Eastern country in that region? It's slipping my mind at the moment that was involved. Maybe Jordan? But the point is he has involved other regional entities in this process. Their ambassadors were there at the meeting giving their stamp of approval, unless we hear otherwise. But their ambassadors were there clapping, showing their support for it. Unconfirmed leaks suggested the measures would be extremely favorable to Israel, allowing it to annex much of the Palestinian territories, including Jewish settlements and all of contested Jerusalem. The Palestinians would be granted some form of self-rule, but under tight restrictions. Okay, I'm sorry, I did not hear tight restrictions. I heard very realistic restrictions for statehood, which were the denouncing of terrorism and getting rid of any hatred in their charter towards Israel. Any internal hatred that is preached or supported by the leaders of Palestine towards another full nation cannot be accepted. It just cannot be. And Trump ensuring that they don't do this, that they take these things out, I don't see how that's restricted. I don't know how those are tight restrictions. But we'll see. I understand that the Jewish settlements in the West Bank are a big deal. I understand that his recognition of Jerusalem was very contested by Palestine and by Palestinian supporters. I have one thing to say to people who were mad about the Jerusalem thing. Too bad. Too bad. It's done. It's over with. Jerusalem is Israeli territory. Done. All done. I don't have anything else to say on that. In Gaza, over which Israel maintains a tight blockade on people and goods, a master's student said he felt wronged. I cannot do anything to reject this plan. There is talk about depriving all rights. No one helps us. We feel, oh my, life sounds so terrible. I am not against peace, but what is being talked about is not peace. Peace is not imposed on people. Then why don't you support some sense of peace then, and it won't have to be imposed on you? The two main political factions, rivals Hamas and Fatah, agreed to hold a rare emergency meeting on Tuesday evening, but it was unclear what impact it could have. Pro-Israel in the country's history. That's what Trump is saying about himself and his supporters. Washington has already implemented a number of historic, yes they have, decades of its policy by refraining from endorsing the internationally backed two-state solution. It has also recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, cut millions of dollars in aid to Palestine, and announced it no longer views Israeli settlements in occupied territory as inconsistent with international law. So, honestly, I'm very happy about the prospect, obviously. I think it's a very bold deal. It's 80 pages, it's very detailed, and I think it does attempt to bring a real compromise to both sides. You know, just because you don't like something doesn't mean you have it reversed, because that's not what compromise means. Compromise means is that there's going to be some things you don't like, there's going to be a couple things that they don't like. All right, Netanyahu was definitely less clappy about certain things, but he accepted them because that's what happens in a deal. That's what happens when you have to work together. Thank you all for watching. I'm Daniel's Inferno.